Nobody gets wealthy on Social Security. And in the United States of America, with our vast budget, 5 million of our fellow Americans get below poverty level checks. Is there any conversation about adjusting them? It's long overdue for Congress to step up and take action.
If you've been wanting to see increases to Social Security checks, well, you're gonna want to see this video. And I'm not just talking about that cost of living adjustment or that COLA increase that happens every year that we just heard about last week. I'm talking about increases across the board to all Social Security recipients that receive retirement, SSI, SSDI, any of these fixed income benefits. Now, this video footage just came out in the past 24 hours, and what you're going to be seeing here, I'm going to show it in just a second, is Representative John Larson in the Ways and Means Committee hearing, holding the Social Security Administration accountable for what's been taking place, and he gives his case for bigger checks across the board. He says, listen, nobody is getting rich off of Social Security. It is not an entitlement program. It's something that people pay into, and when it's time for them to receive it, they need it to be there, and they need it to be enough to keep up with inflation, which he said is out of control, and right now payments are not keeping up. He said, actually, there's millions of those that collect Social Security that are living in poverty every single day. And he said, so if you collect retirement, SSI, SSDI across the board, it would be nice to give those collecting these benefits a bump up, an increase in their payments, kind of like the one we had heard President Joe Biden before promise of $200 per month to every Social Security recipient, as proposed in Bernie Sanders' Social Security Expansion Act, which we have not seen yet come to fruition. Well, I've got some good news, and that is, as I mentioned yesterday, in the past 24 hours, this is coming up again by Representative Larson in this hearing. Now, all the video footage has not yet been released, but I'm going to share with you this small clip of Larson as he makes his stance for increases, modifications to the Social Security Administration, and more funding to help those collecting Social Security. Now, in addition to that, the main purpose of this hearing, though, as I mentioned, was to hold the Social Security Administration accountable. Take a look as they're under fire. Social Security chief vows top to bottom review of payment clawbacks. This has been happening to millions every single year, receiving some pretty scary letters in the mail saying that they owe tons of money back, the likes of which most say they cannot pay. Now, to get more information on that and also on the cost of living adjustment that is on the way, stick around to the end for some updates on that as well. But you guys, let's get you caught up on the latest that's happened in the past 24 hours regarding potential increases to Social Security checks. And if you appreciate the updates, do me a quick favor before we dive in, smash the like button. And if you want to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not just hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. I'll let you know everything happening with Social Security, Congress, our economy, so you know what's taking place and what's available to you and your family. But with that being said, let's take a look at the video footage so that way you can see it for yourself.
Let me say that I share some of the concerns that have been put forward by the chairman, but I want to put it in perspective. Let's start with this year's budget, which is flat funded. And then add on top of that the proposal by our colleagues to cut that by 30%. When there's 10,000 baby boomers a day who become eligible for Social Security, when there's close to 70 million Americans who receive Social Security payments, this is not the time to be cutting. The thing that I hear most in my district from individuals when I call and go home is that they can't get in touch with a human being or a voice on the other side that can answer a question for them. And the reason they can't is because the agency has been cut and understaffed, something that people in Congress seem to be oblivious to. When we add that to the fact that Congress, whose responsibility it is to fund Social Security, hasn't enhanced the program in 52 years. 52 years. Has anything happened with inflation or in the economy in 52 years that would require the United States Congress to actually look at the benefits that people receive and adjust them? Nobody gets wealthy on Social Security. On average, $18,000 per male, $14,000 per female. And in the United States of America, with our vast budget, 5 million of our fellow Americans get below poverty level checks. Is there any conversation about adjusting them? No. And they need to be brought up so that they're able to survive and subsist, because more than 40% of all Social Security recipients, the only thing they have to rely on is Social Security. Morality demands that this committee and the Congress act, especially in these times. In this time of the aftermath and the aftermath of the epidemic that took over this country and globally, people are still recovering from that. And who was hurt by that the most? People over the age of 65. And in a time of global inflation, who's the group that's hit by the hardest by that? People on fixed income. Those are people on Social Security. And so here we have our fellow Americans that are in the greatest need, and Congress. It's great that we're looking, and we hope to get answers in terms of making Social Security and every governmental agency more efficient. But we could start by having them with the appropriate personnel to make sure they're answering the questions. And even more startling and beyond that is we could actually give our fellow citizens and constituents. I have a card for everybody on this committee and everybody in Congress that details in your district how many recipients you have, what they receive, how much money comes into your district on a monthly basis for Social Security recipients. It's the why Republicans are not embracing a 23 million Americans receiving a tax cut and raising 5 million people out of poverty, and then that money going right back into their communities that they represent. If you can point to me any better economic development plan in the country, I'd be glad to take a look at it, but there isn't. And this goes to the people that need it the most. And where do they spend that money? Right back in their community. And until we address and face up to these glaring inequities, this may be great conversation, but it's not going to fix what's wrong with Social Security. What's wrong with Social Security is Congress inaction, not doing anything. If 40 years ago, in 1983, they took a look at solvency and said, well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to raise the age. And what they found out in the process is that for every year you raise the age, it's a 7% cut in benefits. And my friends and colleagues on the other side are proposing raising the age to 70, which would be a 21% across the board cut, going along with the inaction by Congress that in 2033 would mean a 20% cut. That's a 43% cut to people on average who are getting $18,000 a year if you're a male, $14,000. It's long overdue for Congress to step up and take action.
Wow. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below if you agree that it is long overdue for Congress to take action. We heard that 2023 was going to be the year of Social Security reform, yet we have yet to see anything come to fruition. It sure would be nice if something finally took place. Now, in addition to that, that hearing was to hold the Social Security Administration and their commissioner, Kilolo Kijakazi, accountable for the letters going out to millions every single year for overpayments that are the fault of the Social Security Administration, and the letters are demanding that recipients pay back the difference. Now, to see that video, check out this one right here, and also to get the latest on the cost of living adjustment that just went out that everyone will be receiving starting in 2024, check out this video right here next as well. But you guys, that is the latest, and as more information rolls out, I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.